ஹலோ மக்களே, பார்ட்ஸ் 7 எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா? தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் யுவர் சப்போர்ட். வாங்க பார்ட் 7க்குள்ளே போகலாம். தேங்க்யூ.
This was the old Killarney to Cahersiveen railway line, and they closed this line down in the 60s. They closed a lot of our railway systems down in the 60s for reasons best known to the government at the time. But what they're doing with all these old railway lines now is they're making them into greenways, so for hikers, walkers, cyclists, that sort of thing. And down the road here a bit, there is a viaduct bridge that the train used to run over, and the Irish government wanted to buy some land off the farmers so they could put bathrooms, small cafe, kids play area, that sort of thing. And if you know anything about Kerry people, when they approach the farmers, the answer was no, we're not selling. And there's a reason for that. See, a lot of the land down here, the Kerry people will rarely sell, because it's passed down through the generations and they feel they're betraying their ancestors. But anyway, we have 3 court systems in Ireland. We have the District Court, the Circuit Court and the High Court. So the government took the 2 farmers to court and they won, and what they won was called a CPO, a compulsory purchase order, whereby the government would send in land valuers, they'd value the land. The government would then pay the farmers to just take the land. So the farmers weren't happy with this, so they went to the next court, Circuit Court, and the farmers won, nullified the government's claim. The government wasn't happy, they went to the High Court, and the government won, nullifying the farmers' claim. So now the farmers are out of court systems. So they took it to the European Court, and it's still going on. Now I thought there was an easier way they could have sorted all that out. The government could have approached the farmers and asked them for a long-term lease on their land, thereby the farmers would have an income and the government would get to do what they want. And this is the bridge here, guys. Our next town that we'll be going through is called Cahersiveen, and it's about 15 minutes away from us. Guys, until we get to Cahersiveen, I'm going to put on a bit of music. And the first song, guys, that you're going to hear is about a guy called Joseph Plunkett, who was a member of the IRA during the Easter Rising in 1916, where the IRA took over key buildings in Dublin and fought over 5 days pitched battles with the British Army. Now, there was a lot of them killed, simply because the British Army had overwhelming forces and better weaponry. So Joseph Plunkett got captured. And he got captured in the GPO in Dublin, which is the General Post Office. And if you ever visit Dublin, you take a look at the GPO, you still see the bullet holes and the mortar shells on the front of it. They never repaired them as a mark of respect for the men and women who fought and died there. But Joseph Plunkett was captured there, and he was taken to Kilmainham jail in Dublin. And there he was tried and convicted of treason against the crown. And he got sentenced to death by firing squad. Now, whilst in his cell, Joseph started writing on the walls about the uprising. But he wrote a lot of stuff on the walls to his longtime love, a girl by the name of Grace Gifford. And he married Grace a couple of hours before he was brought out and shot. And this is a song about it, guys.
சேட் சாங் அப்போ தான் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணாரு.
guys, we'll be coming into Carson in about 5 minutes. Now, has anyone been to Dublin yet, guys? Okay, so the main street in Dublin is called O'Connell Street. And in nearly every Irish city, there is an O'Connell Street. And they all got named because of one guy. A guy by the name of Daniel O'Connell. Now, Daniel O'Connell in Irish history is known as the Great Emancipator. So, back then, guys, the British imposed laws on the Irish. And these laws were called the penal laws. And there was a host of different laws. For instance, you weren't allowed to speak your own language. It was outlawed. You weren't allowed to own property or land. You weren't allowed to free assembly. You didn't have the right to an education. And so on and so forth. There was a lot of these laws. So Daniel O'Connell, guys, came from a very wealthy Catholic background, which was unusual back then. Most Irish people were living in thatched cottages. They had quite a big house. So because he was an Irish Catholic, he wasn't allowed to be educated. So his family sent him abroad, and they sent him to France to be educated in France. And he spent about 13 or 14 years there. And he got very well educated there. And when he came back, he had one goal. And he wanted to get all these penal laws abolished, overturned, got rid of completely. And he fought hard for a lot of years. And he was a real thorn in the British establishment side. But he got most of the laws overturned. Not all of them, but the majority were overturned. So he is very highly regarded in Irish history. And for instance, if you broke one of these laws, for instance, you're a poor Irish family, your crop has failed or it's not the best crop, so you want to feed your family, so you go fish the rivers, or you go out trotting rabbits or hunting deer. If you were caught doing any of this stuff, you got arrested, you got tried and convicted of stealing or speaking your own language, and the sentence for that, guys, was 20 years slavery. And I don't mean in this country, I mean in a place called Van Diemen's Land. Now, Van Diemen's Land, to get there, you were loaded onto a ship in shackles, kept below decks, and you had 4.5, 5 month journey to get there. And Van Diemen's Land today is called Tasmania, that big island south of Australia. So you got sent there, and once there, you started your sentence of 20 years slavery. So you never got to see your family again. And that's what would happen if you broke any of them penal laws. So there is a huge community of Irish in Australia and in Tasmania, Irish descent. Now Daniel O'Connell's house, guys, is coming up on your left hand side around the next bend. Now it's in ruin, but you will see by the size of it that wasn't a typical Irish thatched cottage. It's quite a mansion back in them days. And there it is, depending on what part of it you're in. And a lot of the scenery for nearly all the Star Wars movies is taken from here, and they just run it through filters in different colours, and when you see it on the big screen, it's a planet far, far away. But there was one that was filmed here, not quite here, about 2.5 miles offshore, on a place called the Skellig Islands. And the Skellig Islands were a monastic settlement settled back in the 5th century by monks. And during the day they use fish, in the afternoon they use tender gardens, and in the evening they use prayer. And the Star Wars film that was filmed here is The Last Jedi. It's that one where Luke Skywalker comes back as a very old man. That whole opening scene was filmed on Skellig Michael. And what happened in this town while that was going on was absolutely nuts. Every Star Wars fan from Ireland, the UK and across Europe descended on this town, hoping to catch a glimpse of the actors or try to be involved in some way, maybe get a job as an extra. But there was thousands of people came down. Myself and my wife came down there. We have 2 friends that live down there. We stayed with them for the weekend. So on a Saturday night we walked into one of the bars just back the road there, a bar called the Harp. And you know that way you get guys when you just start laughing uncontrollably. That happened to me when I walked into the bar. So I opened the door of the bar and stood at the bar were 6 stormtroopers having a pint. So when I finished laughing after about 15 minutes, we sat down, we had a few drinks. About 45 minutes had passed, so I decided I needed to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom. I'm standing there doing my business, and who's standing next to me? Chewbacca, doing his business. So guys, Skellig Michael, you can see just the top of it there. It's that pointy bit. You see it? That's an island in front of it. And you just see the top. So the film crews packed up and left here and moved on to a different location in Ireland. But all the Star Trek fans stayed around here because there is a tour that goes out to the Skellig. So in the space of 2 weeks, the tour and the popularity of the tour rose by 400%. All the Star Trek fans wanted to go out there and see where Luke Skywalker had been hiding for all these years. And after about 3 weeks of that, the Irish government said enough. They shut it down. They shut down the island. Simply because that whole area is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Skelligs. And people were taking bits of the beehive huts where the monks used to live in, and I suppose putting it up on their mantelpiece saying, I have a rock where Luke Skywalker was from, hiding all those years. So they shut it down. And they shut it down for 2 years. It's open again now, and if you did want to go out there, there is a tour out there. Obviously you have to go by boat. But it's not for the faint-hearted, guys. It's a hell of a climb up. There's about 300 steps, and all these steps are stone steps. And there's parts of it, it's like climbing a ladder going up. And that's okay going up, but coming down, if you have vertigo or anything, forget about it. Because there is no handrails or anything like that. If you fall out there, the helicopter is going to be picking you up, taking you to hospital or probably the morgue. So if you do go out there, guys, or if you plan to go out there, you do have to have a certain level of fitness to go up. So guys, our next stop is in a place called Waterville, and we're stopping here for lunch. Now guys, you can go wherever you want for lunch, but we highly recommend a place called the Lobster. And funnily enough, they don't serve lobster during the day, only at night. But they serve an array of food, and it's buffet style, guys. And they recently, about 2 or 3 months ago, won an award for their food. The owner had to travel to Dublin for this big gala night and collect his award. They won this for their food. And the reason we recommend it, number one, for the food, and number two, the turnaround in there is really quick. So you queue up, you get your food, you sit down wherever you like, but the queue goes very fast. And I tell this to everyone coming down now. And about 4 weeks ago, I had 6 people on the bus, 6 individuals. And they got off the bus, and I gave them a time to be back to the bus for. And time came, no sign. So I waited 2 or 3 minutes, and 2 of them came back. And I said, where are the other 4? Oh, they went to a different restaurant. It was very slow, and they're only now getting their meal. I said, you're going to have to ring them, tell them I'm leaving. So they said to me, you can't leave. I said, I think you'll find I can. So they rang them, and the guy on the phone, I could hear him, he was a bit irate. He said, it just got my meal. We'll be up in 20 minutes. And they said, the 2 that were there said to me, they'll be here in 20 minutes. I says, here is where they'll be staying in 20 minutes. We closed the door, and I left the 4 of them there. It cost them 120 quid to get back to Gaeltacht, where I met him that evening to pick him up to bring him back to Cork. As I say, guys, we can't be hanging on Friday. Everyone will be out all day. So, if you're not hungry, guys, there's a few bars there. The Lobster is a bar as well, so if you're after a liquid lunch, you'll get that in there too. Also in Waterville, there's a couple of statues there, and you won't know most of them. I'm sure everyone in the bus will know one particular statue. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'll let you look at it for yourselves. You'll know straight away who it is. But you'll be wondering, why is there a picture of this person down here, a statue of this person down here? And I will answer that question after lunch. And when you're finished lunch, guys, you'll have time for a small walk along the promenade, and you'll see the statue there. Now guys, very shortly we're going crossing an invisible border. Pointing out a sign to you, and see, can you pronounce the sign? The sign is in the Irish language. And see, can you pronounce it anyway? Now the sign is just coming up here, guys. It's the small green sign, the first sign. 10 points to anyone that can pronounce that. Anyone? On Gaeltacht, guys, which means Irish speaking. So you've crossed over a border to the Irish speaking part of Ireland. So all the locals down here speak fluent Irish. They speak it in their everyday lives, in their homes, their businesses, the pub, the schools. And you'll find pockets of these mainly along the southwest coast and the west coast of Ireland, and they're normally rural communities. Now, unfortunately, there's only about 15% of the Irish population speak fluent Irish, and the majority of them live in the Gaeltacht. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I gave you one of the reasons.
நல்ல ஒரு லஞ்ச் முடிச்சாச்சுங்க. சிக்கன் சிப்ஸு, ஒரு ட்ரிங்க்ஸ், அவ்வளோதான். அப்படி பைஸ் வெயிட் பண்ணிகிட்ருக்கு. வாங்க நம்ம போயிட்டு ஒரு ரவுண்ட் அடிக்கலாம். மக்களே ப்ளீஸ் லைக் த வீடியோ, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்கள், ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள். சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணாமல் பார்க்குறோம், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்கள். இது நான் பெரிய கஷ்டத்தின் நடுவில் கஷ்டப்பட்டு வீடியோ எடுத்து போட்டுட்ருக்கிறேன். சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுங்கள். யூடியூப்பில் ஏதாச்சும் ஒரு அச்சீவ் பண்ணணுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ரொம்ப முயற்சி பண்ணுறேன். நெக்ஸ்ட் வீடியோவில் பார்க்குறேன். தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச். தேங்க்யூ. பபாய்.